Hello and welcome to day 3, the final day of the Sim Racing Expo, and we are joined by Alex Goldschmidt, commentator of the esports events happening over the weekend. How are you doing?
Um, let's just say to be a little bit fried, a little bit wired would be a complete understatement. I'm still filled with adrenaline after the professional trophy yesterday, but one more race to go. The ADAC Digital GT500, Temple of Speed, Monza, GT3 cars. Couldn't think of a better finale in that front.
I mean, turn one's going to be absolutely fine, right? Before we get into the racing, how have you found the expo generally?
Well, it was when I got the call from Corvana back in June of this year saying, we want you to be a part of the expo this year. And I was like, yeah, cool, sign me up, let me know the dates and I'll book them. And then when I got shown all the renders of the floor plans and everything, so I had the heads up on everybody, I thought, these plans don't do it justice. And when I walked in, despite having bag troubles flying from Heathrow to Frankfurt to Nuremberg, thank goodness my bag arrived on the following day at 4 o'clock, so I felt like a little bit of a hobo for a couple of days.
You and your Rotax shirt, right? You're repping the Rotax for a while.
Well, I'm still repping the Rotax. I don't really give a shit. We're adults, aren't we? But yeah, it was just walking in and seeing the 718 Cayman and the Porsche 911, and then this huge whopping stage, and then I saw where I was going to be. I was like, I feel like I'm in an arena. I feel like I'm John Motson or something like that.
The renders that I saw, because ADAC and the Sim Racing Expo Twitter account really did a good job sharing and showing us kind of what the plan was for the venue. When I saw the stage, I was like, oh, that looks really cool. Okay, neat. And then, we were going to be on the stage, so we're excited there. But when I walked in, I got a bigger sense of what we're actually doing here.
Yeah.
And it really felt like it was another different level that they just brought the bar up just a little bit more. Because that stage does feel like something you would see on a music award or something like that, where you're watching it on the television.
It's a bit like the Grammys or the Emmys, isn't it, or the Oscars?
It is.
Walking onto that stage yesterday evening, when we closed the show down, looking at how vast Hall 8 is, but when I was told the plans, we've got over 15,000 square meters of real estate. It's more accessible. The Sim Racing Expo outgrew the Nürburgring, despite the fact we probably would have wanted to stay there. But the way that sim racing's evolved over the last 2.5 years since March 2020, we're at this stage now where there is this evolution. And this is the product of that. So, when we've got brands like Nintendo Germany, we've got WRC Generations, Visaro with their kick-ass Visaro Classic. We had the Lamborghini Miura on there earlier on this week. And I instantly spotted the dashboard, and I went, that's what you want. You want immersion. Yes. And that's what it's all about here. It's about finding everything under one roof and just everyone having a great time and actually meeting up.
So who have you met since you've been here?
Tony Kanan. He's been here all weekend. But it's everyone that I've normally been on the other side of a camera with. Like you for instance, Tom. And this is the first time we've met, Chris.
This is.
I can't really put into words how many people I've met, but it's a shed load.
Yeah, it's been good, hasn't it? It's been a nice community feel. And it's also nice to see all the faces behind the brand. So now you can put some faces behind Asetek and Fanatec and Track Racer and Vasaro and Huysenfeld, like all of these brands that we all know and we all love and we all have very strong opinions about. Now, we kind of know the people behind it, right?
Yeah, I think it's, the community is one thing. Social contact is something completely different.
Yeah.
The vibe that myself, Corby and Paul have gone from being in the paddock, seeing it morph into what it is now, where we saw the Formula One style garage where the teams are just arriving and they're getting everything set up, cabling, power, internet, LAN. It's like the amounts of effort that Michael Vamsa, who's the CEO of Corvana, I've had some really good chats with him. Great party last night. We had the exhibitor party last night just actually not too far off the Norris Ring itself. And when people were saying, oh, we're not at the Nürburgring anymore, we're 1.5 kilometres away from the Norris Ring. But it's made this a hell of a lot better. We've proved the naysayers wrong.
So what have been the major differences, do you think, between being at the Nürburgring, where you have the track, and obviously last year we had the classic cars racing, to here we actually have the classic cars, they're just not moving, right?
Yeah, they are.
Sometimes they look fast, even standing still, right, guys?
This is a fact. Yes.
I mean, one of my friends from the karting world, Tanya Yildiz, has been talking to me every single day, saying, Alex, I've got to stand in Retro Classics Bavaria, and we're really, really proud to partner up with them. And from that aspect, the scale is what has impressed me.
Yeah.
And I think it's just only the start of things to come, because from my perspective as a commentator, but also I've been going around the paddock in here, going through Hall 9. This afternoon, after I've done everything I need to do, it's playtime.
Nice. So everything you need to do. We've got a race today. Are you excited for it?
100%. I mean, you can't get better than screaming, roaring GT3 cars at Monza. And the Rettifilio chicane, 34 cars.
So,
Any predictions?
yeah, that's what I was going to ask, actually.
Right, okay. Well, when you've got teams like Redline, GTWR, Williams Esports, you know, everybody that's anybody, 30 plus teams, a mammoth grid, that's going to be like several thousand horsepower charging its way like a rampant bull into the chicane. I'm sure there's going to be some three-wide action, probably some late braking, probably some unfortunate outbreaking themselves. I mean, it happens, but there could be a little bit of history made here.
Based on the season that you've been commentating with all these teams, do you think Williams can take both?
Yes.
You think they can?
You want to know why? One of their drivers won the GT500 with Urano Esports last year, Louis Naza. And him and Daniel Pastor, I know, are a very, very good combination. Got to know Louis very, very well, and also Seb Hawkins and everybody there. You can't count out the Italian duo, Moreno Sirica and Alessandro Bico. Alessandro was third with the Marla Racing team last year. So Williams are going to be a strong threat. Redline, we've got Max Benecke. That man needs no introduction. GTWR, we've got Giorgio Simonini here in person. We saw a really, really good race between Williams and Triton yesterday. The professional trophy. It was calculated, it was strategic, we got some door rubbing, we got some paint swapping. Today's going to be a bit of a different feel, but it's the centerpiece of what the ADAC Digital GT500 is about. It's a prestigious honor to win that title. Based on current performances, I'm going to single out two teams. It's going to be Redline and it's going to be Williams. And if Louis Naza does that, he'll be the first person to have ever won the Digital GT500 twice in a row with two different teams.
Interesting, interesting. We're hoping that the Grid Finder Chevron is in their rear view at least for a little bit, so we can get some of that limelight on the stream.
Well, you know what? It was really, really nice to see Grid Finder actually being able to battle for the top 20, because the previous few races, I still remember the Jux K sweep, round 4, Kyle Army, bang. Again, it's like every single time you guys have tried to make some moves forward, it's like it's like Paula Abdul once said, one step forward, two steps back. Another musical reference. That's what we're doing here. We want to bring the professionalism, sorry. You can tell it's still early.
Yeah.
We want to bring the professional aspect. We want to make sure it's fun, it's entertaining for not just the people here, but also for those watching on the dedicated live streams. The one thing that I'm really looking forward to today, once I get a chance to have a look back at it, it'll be behind us anyway, that we've got the massive Vicaris announcement with Christoph Siebel and CEO of VCO, Florian Hasper, who I've known for a decade. What VCO have brought to the sim racing world is positive disruption.
Okay.
And the way that they have gone about it is what nobody else, I think, has contemplated or even thought about. Next week, VCO Pro Sim Infinity. 24 races in 24 hours, and a certain amount of races has to be done by a professional driver. The E-Racing World Cup 2022 is going to be held at the home of the Unicorns of Love, Arcadia in Hamburg, and it's another LAN event. That's the thing that the sim racing community has been missing for the last 2.5 years. Significant LAN events that bring a presence, bring awareness to the sim racing community. And to be partnered with something like Retro Classics Bavaria, you know that those people have got money to spend, so they might think about, hang on, I didn't know they did classic cars on simulators. Straight away, you got an in.
I was actually going to say the same thing. So when we were walking in through the classic cars, through the car show, I was wondering how many of the people who are here just for the cars over on that side kind of journey over here and then see the racing on the big screen and go, wow, this feels just like the motorsport that I know and love on TV that I watch. Maybe I need to pay a little bit more attention to sim racing, because obviously us sim racers, we already know it is real motorsport.
It is.
It is. It just plain is.
I mean, when I started commentating on sim racing, and I'm going to have to give a shout out to my good buddy Chris McCarthy, one of the commentators for the Virtual Le Mans series. He said, Alex, treat it like a real race. The first race I did, and I don't talk about this often, I did the Team Brit Summer Series on Assetto Corsa Competizione. I came in halfway through the season because they wanted to live stream it. We did, I think it was, I can't remember which track it was. I think it was Suzuka. First 15 minutes of quali, I remember exactly what happens. The last 15 minutes of quali, I can't remember a damn thing. But then it was just like thinking, okay, just get your head together. But I'd done all my prep work, and you know, like the old saying goes, piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance. If you're, and this is a thing that I'd like to say to any aspiring commentator that's coming up the ranks, you do all your research and then be yourself. The rest falls into place.
There you go. Fabulous quote to end the show on that one. Well, we appreciate you all being here for every single episode that we've had. And actually, if you go to Apple, Google, Spotify, we have our live show that we did on that stage just yesterday.
That seems a bit
and we got to play
mental,
two truths and one lie with Lawrence Usaswa and Dave Cam. And that was hilarious.
It was a lot of fun.
I still don't believe that first one from Lawrence.
We'll
I
never
still
know.
don't believe it.
We'll
but
never know.
Let us know what you guys think. And we'll be back later on today with the wrap-up show to wrap up the entirety of the Sim Racing Expo 2022 here from Nuremberg.
With Danny Juicer.
With Danny Juicer.
That'd be great. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
He looked like an Italian gangster at the exhibitor party last night.
He looks like an Italian gangster most of the time.
I would love to see pictures of that.
You know what? The first thing that I did, mobile phone went on Do Not Disturb. It was
there you go.
no screens, just chill out, have fun with good friends.
Meet the people, really be present in the moment. Oh, and it looks like the show's about to start, so we're going to sign off for now.
Well, no, they're not actually starting the show. They're doing some testing, I think.
Okay, well,
'cause, the show doesn't start until about just before 10:15 this morning.
10:15 this morning. Tune into the ADAC's actual Twitch channel, YouTube channel, whichever is your preferred platform. And don't forget to subscribe to Sim Sundays at youtube.com/@SimSundays. We'll see you later today.
Goodbye.
Hey, welcome back to another check-in with Sim Sundays and GridFinder. I'm here with the GridFinder racing team, well, part of the racing team. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves real quick?
Hey, I'm Daniel. I'm part of the ACC racing team for GridFinder. So we had our race yesterday. Really nice to introduce myself to the fans.
Yeah, I'm also part of the ACC racing team, and myself, I'm Leon. Forgot that one. And
And I'm Bogdan. I'm also part of the ACC Sim Racing team. I was here for like the entire weekend so far. Pretty awesome stuff. First time at the expo. Definitely not the last time though.
So first time at the expo for you. How about you?
also for me, the first
Also
time.
for you
I
and
think.
you?
Yeah, for sure.
So-
Definitely the first time.
Since it's all of your first time, which is my first time as well, what do you think is your absolute favorite part about an event like this, specifically for sim racing?
For me, being most interested in the competition here, obviously, we had our race yesterday. The way all the teams came together, when anyone had an issue, everyone else, all the providers, the sellers, the teams, they were coming together to help each other, and everyone's just here for the love of sim racing. Like, it's an amazing community here. I've had the best time meeting people who I've raced against online and people who I haven't. Just really, really supportive.
Kind of putting almost a face to a car, if you will, in this context, right? So you can be like, I know that guy. I know who's in that car now. It's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's really nice just to see also, GridFinder relatively compared to some of the more established names, new team. It's nice to just see how everyone operates, see exactly what's going on behind the scenes as well.
Yeah. How about you? What's your favorite part of Sim Racing Expo this year?
I need to agree with him. For me, it was the last 2 days. It was all about the competition.
Yeah.
I live for the competition, for the driving. So for me, it was the actual expo I saw this morning.
Yeah,
the first time for real.
You're like, oh, this is what's happening around
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
Okay, nice.
But the last 2 days, I was fully concentrated on the race, and that's what I love the most. Just
yeah, you were
the race.
in the zone. That makes sense. How about you?
Yeah, for me, luckily or unluckily, I didn't really have the stress of performing in the actual race.
Sure.
Because we already had the driver lineup set. But yeah, honestly, it was amazing just meeting the whole team, seeing everyone for the first time, face to face, and vibing with each other, and also seeing some familiar faces around the paddock, as Daniel said. I don't know, just the whole experience overall, it was mind-blowing for me.
Right. Now, everyone always talks about the good parts of events like this. What would you say was your least favorite thing at this Sim Racing Expo?
Not to get into too many controversies.
Besides the person who disconnected the network cable for a bunch of teams, besides that one.
I mean, we were behind those teams, so I don't know. I feel
you were
sorry
like,
for them.
Does anybody else want to disconnect another one? Not ours, but someone.
I mean, I feel sorry for them, but we've had our share of bad luck throughout the championship, so I can't feel that sorry for them, if that makes sense.
That's kind of an interesting thing if you think about it, because this is real motorsport. Let's face it, it just is. You get the same adrenaline, you get the same problems, but you do get a couple of extra problems like network connection issues and just maybe general computer lag, or maybe a TV wants to go to sleep on you guys or something like that. I don't know.
You know, as it
from,
happens.
You know.
Yeah.
So, what about your least favorite portion of this event? Now, I know it's hard to pick your least favorite because you try to block that out.
Yes, it was simply the hardware issues that we had on that fixing it. So when I came here Friday afternoon, it was just till the race tomorrow morning trying to fix everything.
That's interesting because you're not going to experience like a gearbox problem or gasket problems in the. You're going to experience the PC, the TV, the pedals, the wheel, which we had our fair share of.
Fair share of some problems. That all got sorted out at the end, so that is nice. But otherwise, I don't see really. I mean, it was the first one. Maybe after having 2 or 3 more of them, you can differentiate where actually something was not so nice.
Yeah.
In which expo or what year. But for the first time, I don't see anything.
Nothing
really
glaring
problems.
expo-wise. It's more technical issues and things that you guys had to deal with as a team. That makes sense. How about you? What do you think was your worst or least favorite? We won't say worst. That's a big term.
So, firstly, I want to say that to Danny Guza and all the guys who organized the ACC event, it was amazing. Right? They did really well, and the rig issues that we suffered were difficult, of course. I'd say for me, I've got a very small nitpick, right?
Okay.
It's the lack of drinking water available.
Oh, lack of drinking. Well, they had a Monster booth. I mean, I've been, fueling up with Monster all weekend where, got a little bit of the shakes once in a while, but...
Yeah, for me, like, it's a fantastic place, and I think it's been one of the most amazing sim racing experience I've ever had. And I'm really impressed with the guys. I think also my second least favorite thing was watching the last 10 minutes of Leon drive. Because I sat for 90 minutes, the last 90 minutes I was there the whole time, doing fuel calculations for Leon, just making sure that everything was going okay, holding out a card next to the TV so he knew how many liters to put in.
This is where it is real motorsport, because a lot of people probably think that, it's just a video game. It doesn't really take all that much to sit in a video game and do it. Your reaction times, the mental stress, you're over here calculating fuel and giving him signs like, I don't know, I've seen the movie Ford v Ferrari, right? And he's on the sideline telling him like what RPMs to keep it under, how many more laps he's going before the pit stop. You're doing the same exact things just because it's a video game
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's not anything near motorsport. It might even be more stressful at times because we have that extra layer. Now, some of the motorsport fans may not like that, but it's a fact. We have extra things on top of all worrying about the race, the car, the stress.
I think the biggest thing as well is, I assume these guys will agree, but I won't speak for them. Because the entry level to get into sim racing is so much lower,
Yeah.
the number of people and the competition is so tight, right? You see the qualifying from yesterday, top 25 teams maybe within 9/10, like, around a 2 minute or 1 minute 52 lap time. So the spread is so small because the ability to get into it, you need a lot less money than you do for real motorsport, and so it's
Unless you're buying the SimiCube force feedback pedals, then you can buy a small Mazda for the price of 3 pedals.
yeah, absolutely. But in terms of this stuff with ACC especially, it's a one-time purchase, so it's just so affordable to be in and to race with, and that's really what I love, is that a lot of people, not anyone, because there is still a cost to enjoy it, but a lot of people can access it, and it's amazing to see how close these guys were. I mean, talking about managing the race, Leon was managing basically everything. It was really easy for me. I just gave the fuel, watched him turn the engine yellow in the last couple of laps.
I've seen. I was here hanging out with you a little bit during the races, and some of his saves, he just ripped the wheel back, and you just walk away like completely surprised by the fact that you were able to save it. Well done, by the way.
Yeah, I think I was getting a bit too invested. I felt like I was in the car, but I had none of the advantages of being in the car. I couldn't do anything to make it better, but also his pace was better than mine. So I was very happy, not being in the car, but watching there, the first 20 minutes I was watching, it was just very relaxing, and then suddenly you're in, and it was amazing to see also the rest of the Grid Finder guys, even some of the guys who don't sim race with Grid Finder, standing behind, and after 5 minutes of watching, suddenly they're tapping their legs, doing the Kristen Horner leg
It's the
jiggle.
exact same stress that you get from watching any sport. Exact same stress.
Absolutely.
It's exciting. It's super stressful at times because you want a clean lap. You want that perfect lap. You want to be able to put in that perfect time for the skill level of our team. And you guys did an amazing job competing with Williams Esports is here. They have a little bit larger of a budget than Grid Finder Racing Team does, and you guys are in the same race. Just a bit, right?
Yeah.
They have computers with engineers in the background doing all the stuff. You're over here with paper going, hey, there you go. It's fabulous. It's amazing.
Yeah, but I think it's not impossible for us to be like that. I think for me, it was the learning experience of seeing what goes, when we race virtually, when you're in a real paddock, you can look at the other pit boxes. Mm-hmm. You can see what the other mechanics are doing. When you're racing virtually, you can't see that. They're just behind another screen in their own houses. You don't know what they're doing.
Sometimes on a Discord chat where you can press to talk and talk to each other, right? Everyone for the big races, I would assume.
Yeah, but I mean, the other teams, no. You can't see them. So for us, for me, it's really nice to see how the other teams operate. And, some things I think we do really well. And some things I'm like, okay, I want to think about that for next time maybe. Some of the guys had set up their own special live timing connected to the server. It's like, okay, that's good for next time to know.
Yeah.
It's that's something we should do. It would be, instead of Leon having to toggle every now and again to look at the gaps while he's on the straight.
Yeah.
It's better to have someone available to tell him. Let him focus entirely on the driving because, his skill is amazing.
The best thing that we got from this expo, aside from just the general experience, of course, right, is just all the little notes where we're like, you know what, we didn't bring seats.
Yes.
Something so simple, just to be able to sit down. We didn't bring a wireless router, so we didn't have our own internet for all of us. That would be nice. TVs, things that we need to make the next Sim Racing Expo just a little bit better, right?
Yep, definitely.
So, fabulous job, guys. Absolutely fabulous job. And do you think this kind of sparked a bigger desire? I know you guys have a massive desire for sim racing already, hence you being on the Grid Finder Sim Racing team and competing. But do you think it kind of gave you a little bit more of a push as well? What do you...
Yeah, personally, it really did. It's just a glimpse of what's potentially out there, you know? So definitely looking forward to hopefully more of these.
Yeah, and hopefully you stick with the Grid Finder team, we grow all together, but fabulous job today, or well, this whole weekend. We're still racing today, so
That's true.
we'll hold off the compliments till it's done so that we don't jinx anything, right?
Yeah, commentators curse and everything.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, thank you for joining us, and if you guys want to see more, we're going to be doing more episodes of these mini-series all over our YouTube, so youtube.com/@SimSundays, and check it out. Thanks for being with us. Welcome to the last day of the 2022 Sim Racing Expo. I have another portion of our Grid Finder racing team here today, and why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves for the fans?
Hello, I'm Dominic and I'm racing for iRacing at Gridfinder.
Hi, I'm Mathis. I'm 20 years old and I'm racing for Gridfinder in ACC.
Nice.
Hi, and I'm Clemens, and I'm racing ACC for Gridfinder.
Thank you guys for joining us today. It's important for you guys to kind of be face-to-face with the fans a little bit so they don't just see the little chevron driving around, and they get a little bit to know you guys and maybe even be a fan of your guys and follow your guys' careers and all that great stuff. So, Sim Racing Expo, this is an amazing experience. Is this your guys' first time being at a Sim Racing Expo, or have you attended before?
I was last year,
Oh, you were?
yes.
Very nice.
Yeah, but I think last year for the organization it was better than this year, but so overall I think this year is much better.
How about yourself?
Yeah, I was here last year too,
Nice.
but only as a visitor. So, but it was way smaller. I like it this time way more, but through the organization,
Yeah.
this was better last time.
Yeah, that makes sense. How about yourself?
That was my first Sim Racing Expo. I basically just started to actually competitively sim race earlier this year.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see the whole team and how everything works. And it's just an amazing event.
Yeah, so other than the organization being a little bit suspect and a little bit kind of all over the place, what would you say is your absolute favorite piece of this Sim Racing Expo this year?
For me, I think it was the race. I was very excited about it. Yesterday it didn't look like that, but today I think we managed quite good, so I'm happy.
Very good.
Yeah, for me, for the ACC team, we had a lot of bad luck the last few races, and this race went really well despite having all the problems beforehand, and this was really good. Yeah, I really like that.
Nice.
I can't really add anything. It's basically was what Matis just said. The
Now-
whole season was quite difficult, but
Did you guys get to go experience some of the expo and maybe test out a wheel that you've been kind of eyeballing online, or some pedals or anything like that? What did you get to do while you were here?
I test a lot, so I think Aztec was quite good. I liked them really well. Simocube, I don't know, didn't drove yet.
Did you get on the force feedback pedals at all? I unfortunately didn't get a chance to. Tom did from Grid Finder, but he said it's cool, but he doesn't know if it's really something that's necessary, was the kind of the feedback there. Because you're just adding more things to go wrong potentially. Let's be honest, because we had our fair share of technical problems. Well, I guess it wasn't really technical problems on our side. It was more of the equipment just wasn't quite up to snuff for what we wanted, and just imagine having another thing like the force feedback of the pedals aren't working in addition to like the force feedback of the wheel. That would be a lot, right, guys? So what about the races? So is there anything that you learned from the race this year that you kind of want to take into the future and maybe improve upon, or did you really like an aspect of some of the racing this weekend?
For sure, we have to train more for the races.
Okay.
So the time was a little bit short, but overall I think it was a good event. Maybe yes, with another equipment we had a lot more chances, I think, but so at the end it was a good race. So
With the equipment problems that we did have, you had very limited time to actually get on the rig and practice while you were here. So it's almost like your first experience on the rig in this environment, which is a little bit more stressful than home already, was when you're sitting down ready to go. So well done, everyone. But what about you? What do you think about the race?
Yeah, I think next time we can bring our own rigs.
Okay.
So, the own equipment that we are used to.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense, and not these rigs. Yeah, and more practice again. Like
Yeah.
Simon was our first driver for ACC, or third driver, and I had to jump in for him.
Okay.
And last minute, so
Yeah,
I had no training at home, and then this.
Yeah, because you were expecting to just come as a visitor and kind of support.
Yeah, and then I have to drive, and then I couldn't even train properly.
So your stress level is here,
Yeah, it was
replacement
up there,
driver,
yeah.
and then you get here and you can't practice, so it goes here, and it's just, that's a lot. And well done for dealing with the stress of it, and kind of rolling with it, if you will. Because, I mean, it's our first real big season where the whole Grid Finder team got here, and we're still ironing out some of the kinks, but thank you guys for being patient, of course. What do you think about the race? Because you got to just kind of enjoy, and while the stress level was probably there for you as well, just because the general level of the team was up there, you didn't have to sit down in the bucket.
Yeah, well, basically, Mathis and I had a little shootout on Friday evening because we hadn't yet decided yet who was going to drive the race.
Okay.
So Friday was kind of stressful for me as well.
That makes sense.
But yeah, the stress level, even for me not driving, just watching the race was extremely high and but I don't know, it was just an amazing race, and I'm really happy with the result. And yeah.
I know when you guys were on the rigs, you didn't really see the reaction of everyone else watching the race, but the tension was high behind you. So when something would go not quite the way that we would expect it, everyone's going and throwing their hands up, going, "Oh no!" Or it was very exciting to watch. And it's cool that sim racing gives you the same exact emotions and the same exact tension and the same exact feeling as real racing. And I say real racing, but it is real racing. We need to stop saying that. We need to say racing in general. But you guys are doing amazing things, and I can't wait till the future where we have our own rigs. We have all of every little detail ironed out perfectly for you guys, because I think you guys have a bright future on this team. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
We'll be back with one more interview with the team managers, I guess they're called, the team managers from both ACC and iRacing side. If you'd like to see all that, go ahead and subscribe at youtube.com/@SimSundays, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Welcome to the final interview with the Grid Finder Racing team. I have the two team managers from both iRacing and ACC with us for the final day of the 2022 ADAC Sim Racing Expo. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Axel. I'm racing iRacing. It's my most favorite sim. And in the past year I've taken over the part of a manager, and I take over to Tristan now.
Yeah, I'm Tristan. I've been with Grid Finder since when we founded the team.
Yeah, you were the first one, weren't you?
Yeah. I was basically the founder of the team.
Yeah.
Tom got me onto the team because of a common friend. I drive ACC. I manage ACC and a bit of iRacing, but Axel does the main job of iRacing, and
That's amazing. Now, the team has grown a lot. So obviously I remember when it was really just you, and we were like, you know what, we want a sim racing team of some sort. Yeah. We need to recruit some people. And then, how many people are actually on the team now? I don't even know the final number.
Yeah, so it fluctuates a bit, but we're about 13.
Yeah.
Sadly, we weren't able
members.
to bring everyone here. Some for personal reasons, some for medical reasons.
Of course.
But so nice to see everyone, because we haven't been able to meet for forever. First time I'm seeing some of them. Crazy.
This is the first time that basically, with the exceptions of the couple you mentioned, the entire team has seen each other face to face and talked to each other and got to hang out. Last night's dinner was amazing, where we just we relaxed a little bit, had some Chinese food, and just talked.
Yeah. Got to meet and to know each other.
Yeah, exactly. So, Sim Racing Expo. Big event, amazing event. I had a lot of fun testing a bunch of things that I want, and probably some things that I probably shouldn't buy, let's be honest. What was your favorite part of Sim Racing Expo? And not the racing part, but pick something that's out in the general area over there.
I think it's the section with the wheels, where Cube Controls and GSI have their locations, because normally you wouldn't consider a wheel for like 1,500 euros, but if you actually lay hands on them, you feel like, oh, there's something different.
That's a dangerous thing, right? Because you're like, oh, no way I'm ever going to spend that on a Cube Controls wheel, and then you pick it up and go, what's my bank account?
Yeah, and the worst thing is we actually raced on some kind of that wheel. and I'm in big trouble now because I don't know what to do.
Like in the back of your mind, you're like, how can I get that wheel? How can I get it? How can I get it? How about you? What was your favorite part of Sim Racing
For me,
Expo
it was
this year?
just going to all the manufacturers and everything, because for all of my racing career, I've just been interested in racing and just got the equipment that others recommended to me. And now I had the opportunity to go to all these manufacturers, some of them I've never heard of, and just test the wheels, test the wheelbases, test the pedals, even see some TVs, because I'm just racing on a single monitor, seeing their triple screen setups, seeing the ultra wides,
yeah,
and also just seeing all these teams next to us and how they operate, what they use.
It was pretty interesting, honestly. I spent a little bit of time just kind of hovering around the Williams booth, which was right next to us, because, it's Williams. It's at a different level than Gridfinder is completely, because it's Williams. They're F1 teams, they have GT, they have crazy amounts of money, and I felt like we ran pretty efficiently and very similar in a lot of ways, which is really surprising when you really think about it, because it just means racing is racing. It's all, everyone can get into it. Now, sim racing, the nice thing is that the barrier of entry is a lot lower than you having to buy a car or something like
Obviously.
that. But you said something interesting, being able to touch, being able to feel the stuff. We always go online and we look for sim racing equipment based on numbers. So you're like, Newton meters this, how big it is around, how thick the grips are.
Yeah.
What do you think was your biggest surprise of the expo? So did you pick up anything and you go, wow, I didn't expect it to be this nice?
Choosing one will be hard.
There's so many.
Yes.
If you want to think about it, I have one.
Oh, he's got one.
So I went into it with a blank mind.
Sure.
And because I didn't know any of that, I only knew 2-3 manufacturers.
Yep.
And I really liked what ADAC are doing with their wheels, which are, I think, very good in price for the performance that they give, and they felt really nice.
I have to be honest, that was probably my biggest surprise. I had my eyes and my mind kind of set on Hülsenfeld, and when I touched their pedals, I'm yet to drive them now. I gotta wait, but there might be something in it where I actually choose them instead of Hülsenfeld. So we'll see. Obviously, you have to drive it, which that's another thing, because if I was online, how do you pick between the two? You're like, I like the black finish instead. Like, that's all you have, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What about you? What was the surprise for you?
I think from the virtual racing lounge, they set up 2 rigs with motion and big triple TVs actually. I would have never thought that like motion can be in addition to what you feel in the wheel. I always thought it would like get distracting when it's too much, but it was well set up, and it was a lot of fun driving it, although it were only 8-minute sessions.
It's interesting because while you have the G-forces in a normal car, you have all of the just different ways the car sways back and forth, and when you add the motion in the sim rig, it really does simulate the same thing. It feels like you're in a car. Now, some of the things are a little bit different because of the way that it has to simulate the actual forces, but does it have you kind of thinking maybe I'll get some D-Box stuff and put some motion on my rig?
No, because I would need to buy a new rig for it to be stable enough to hold the DD and motion.
That makes sense.
And probably TVs as well. Either you put the TVs on the rig or just standalone. But it was a nice thing to have for, once or twice a year, but I wouldn't need it for all day driving.
Right. Now, let's switch gears for a moment. Now, I know the Gridfinder team had a couple of issues, which we can go over. What was your least favorite part of Sim Expo? And I think I know where this is going to go, honestly. What was your least favorite part?
Running around on Friday, trying to solve issues with the rigs we had, but in the end it all worked out quite well.
It really did work out, and the tension level on Friday was through the roof. Everyone was stressed, everyone was freaking out, and you guys ended up, it came together, not quite as perfect as, this wasn't a Cinderella story where everything was perfect in the end, but you guys performed even better than you wanted to perform. You were saying on stage, P20.
P20 would have been awesome. In the end, it was P18.
Right.
We take that.
P18, and then on iRacing.
We also settled for P20, but in the end it was P16, so nothing to complain about.
So you underestimated you guys' skill, and I for one, when I'm watching you race, there is pure skill on this team. And with a little bit more ironing out of some of the details, some of the stuff that we, as the Gridfinder business guys, can help you with. I think you guys really do have a bright future.
And I think that's something that we should stress. We're sitting next to Unicorns of Love and Williams. We're doing this full time. We are studying in university.
Yep.
Right? We're doing this on the side. We're having 1 or
You're
2
in
hours per day.
nights and weekends, sim racer, competing with some of the biggest teams.
Yeah, and in the end, we are here. And racing with these guys on the same track, not on an equal level yet, but who knows where we will end up. We were a lot closer than we thought we would be.
Yeah.
Who knows? Sky's the limit. We're
So,
just happy.
What was your least favorite portion of
Well,
the
I will
expo?
agree with the rigs. We had some issues, and on Friday evening, so the expo ends at like 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And at 6 o'clock, it looked like we wouldn't be able to race. Running around all the time. Everyone trying to get some equipment here, there. Heusingwert gave us some of their sprint pedals, which we are really thankful for.
Yeah, helping you out a little bit, helping us out.
Yeah, because in the end, just a few minutes before the race, it looked like our pedals that we had on the rig originally, they would fail, and we would have no brake pedal going to turn 1 on Nürburgring. We were scared.
I don't
I
think
was
that would work
afraid.
so well.
Yeah, but in the end, everything worked out. We also want to give a big shout out to Unicorns of Love for letting our iRacing boys race there. Really helped us out.
That was amazing.
Yeah, but I really don't want to talk too much about the negatives because in the end, everyone was so surprised how nice it was here.
And you outperformed what you even expected if you had the working equipment. So well done, well done. I have to say, it's very exciting to see where we can go with this Gridfinder racing team. I wish at some point I was good enough for it, but that's okay. I'll be on the fun side of it, and we can race go-karts and stuff like that against you guys.
Yeah. One thing that I really liked seeing was in the beginning, you guys from the business side were like, oh yeah, sim racing, cool and so on, and you really got into it, especially towards the end of the race for ACC, where I really saw it. Everyone was biting their nails. I was like, oh, where are we going to finish? Because it was so exciting. It was so exciting, yeah, because we got 2 positions in the last 10 minutes.
It was
amazing.
absolutely amazing to see, and it is real racing. A lot of people are comparing sim racing to real racing, and it's just the real life motorsport gives you the same feeling, gives you the same tension, gives you all the same emotions. And honestly speaking, at least in the sim racing world, anyone can do it. If you can afford a wheel, which the barrier to entry is reasonable, you can race.
Yeah.
So what do you think could improve for next year for the racing teams? What are your goals? If you have already thought of some, do you have any goals for the next season?
Not in particular.
Not particular.
I would say like the usual improvement you can get over a year, focusing on driving techniques, learning some new stuff, maybe getting some, new cars to my selection, and then we'll see where we can go.
There you go. What about an ACC? What do you have that you want to improve on?
We need to stress that this was our first offline event ever. There's a ton of stuff we learned from the other teams. We will probably have less issues, less stress of getting everything together. I want that as an improvement.
Yep.
And then if next time we can be P15 or better, well, just improvement.
You have to shoot for a little bit better, and eventually you're going to be shooting for that number 1 spot where Williams Racing is going to be looking at us going, these guys are going to really give us a run for our money,
Maybe.
I really appreciate you guys being here. So that's going to wrap it up for the Gridfinder Racing team. Tune in to our streams, tune in to our invitationals, and maybe we can organize a little community race where we pull you guys on Sim Sundays and just everyone can see us all together for one just fun race, maybe karting or something like that. That's going to do it for us, and we'll be back one more time with the wrap-up show from the 2022 ADAC Sim Racing Expo. Thank you. We'll see you later. Welcome to the final wrap-up show of the 2022 ADAC Sim Racing Expo. We actually have kind of the man in charge, the man that was running around. Everyone wanted your time, and we got a little bit of that today. So, Danny, how are you?
Relieved and happy that's over, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been an amazing event. You guys did something. I know, I was like, wait a minute, I'm not talking to the mic. You guys did something absolutely amazing here, and Did you see any of the classic car people come over and kind of give a side-eyed look and go, huh, this is kind of interesting?
Oh yeah, definitely, because I think for the core audience of the other exhibition, you notice them quite easy because they're a bit older than the regular sim racing visitor. And it was quite funny because when we opened on Friday, this was the start of the other exhibition, you saw them, they're walking like around really like, what is this kind of stuff? And then you notice them like 2 or 3 hours later, again here at our booth, and they're driving a simulator. So like from
gotcha.
Yeah, like from looking like
Converted.
very grumpy to, that's actually cool. So
They're like, this isn't real motorsport. To,
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I kind of want to give this a go.
An hour later, after they've been on the old classic rally car at the Vasaro rig with the walnut dashes, like, oh, this is a little bit of me.
We're over there writing checks.
Yeah, well, the other thing is they're probably wandering around here thinking, actually, this all seems very reasonable, like compared to the price tags in the classic retro hall.
It would be funny if like they walk in, they go directly to SimCube, and they're like, oh, okay, whatever for a pedal.
2,000 euros for a pedal. Great, I'll take 3.
yeah.
And the rest of the sim racing crowd's like, ooh, that's kind of painful.
Yeah, last year we had like a small test exhibition here with them, and then we had to find some people, and they were like really chatty. So we talked with them, had a beer, and then the one raised his arm, and I saw his watch, and was like, "Fuck, I know this watch because this was a watch you get with one of the Ferraris to start it actually." And I was like, "Okay, I think the simulator is no problem for him."
Yeah, right. That makes sense. So after all of the event is basically wrapped up, obviously there's still people here. You guys are breaking down, doing stuff. What was your favorite portion of the event?
Oh, to be really honest, I didn't get anything what happened on the stage.
Oh, bummer. You didn't catch Sim Sundays.
To be honest, really, I feel like really left out, and I need to watch the stream again on our YouTube channel. But I was involved mainly in doing also the stage panels, getting all the people into the stage panels, talking with them prior, and to see them here, like fully, hey, let's have a talk, thank you for being around and so on. This was really awesome because you have such a different connection after having like the talks with over the Zoom meeting or email, and then you're here, they're on stage, they're coming back, and everybody was like so pumped after that on the stage. They were totally happy. And that added much to my experience.
So your happiness was kind of in transfer from other people's happiness.
Yeah.
You were very busy. Like I saw you a couple times where you're just walking up and down. And one day in the morning you were very chipper and like, hey, how's it going? And then by the afternoon you were kind of like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. That was one day which was really stressful. The good part is most of the days the production and the stream was like very clean. There was nothing happening, no hiccups, but everything was clean from the outside, from the inside. Like every time you have a fire, but it's not like some people messing up. It's like just a live production, and small things happening have a big effect on the other side.
Like a streamer coming up a little bit late to the stage to get set up, stuff like
gamer
that.
muscle.
Like 1 second earlier, and you get up to get a microphone and in here, and you're okay. 1 second is enough.
What I would like to know, right, is that I've seen you several times around the hall, okay, and you've looked a little stressed at times, basically crawling around the back of the stage trying to get everything done, and yet not a single hair on your head is out of place. How do you do it?
With the Got to Be stuff we brought.
I knew you were going to say that. I said that earlier. Seb Hawkins from Williams Esports around the back, and I was like, how does he do it? Like, I don't understand. He's running around, he's stressed as anything. His hair is immaculate. Thanks to the sponsor. Got to be.
No, to be honest, I'm just putting wax into it and hairspray, so then it's like gone.
Well, it's magnificent.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much.
I know it's super early, and we're not even out of the Sim Racing Expo Hall 2022. What's the future hold for us sim racers? Because I need more of this.
So basically, I need to call my boss whether I'm allowed to
Can
say
I say this?
But I think there's enough space in the world to have a second expo. I can't tell whether it's going to happen.
One problem that I can attest to is a bunch of my friends and family and stuff that wanted to watch the expo or watch our podcast.
Yeah.
It's 3 a.m, 2 a.m. It's not an hour that they could really, partake in all of this, unfortunately. So it would be nice to see something on the other side of the country. definitely would.
Other side of the world.
Other side of the world,
right.
yeah.
Sorry,
It's been a long
I'm
4
an
days.
American, and I think whatever.
You just think that the world is just one big
Just one
America,
big
right?
America.
We're essentially in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
state,
Germany
the
is the
state of
capital
Germany.
Europe, right?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
just joking.
But yeah, it would be nice to have something over in the States.
Oh yes,
side.
I think the States are really a cool place for that, because I feel like Europe is really well developed already in sim racing.
It is.
I think down to the motorsports, because it's also very far developed, because it helps often. And the US, I think more people are likely to love live acts and attending to something, and like having a festival of sim racing, something like that, and like celebrate that. And therefore, North America or America at large a really good place. And also, like, people are more likely to spend some money on something which is really good.
Oh yeah. Sure.
In Germany, with Germans, like, we're totally conservative, right? So when something costs money, you're just like, want to have like 15 pages of a PDF.
Yeah.
Why it's good to spend that money on, like?
We're like, give me that thing.
Yeah. I love it. Give it to me. Like,
It looks pretty.
yeah.
I mean, America has kind of proven the esports like local event concept, right? If you look at the esports events they do, like CS:GO and Dota and League of Legends, they fill stadiums, and you know it's definitely much bigger in America than it is in Europe. So it's actually really interesting, the idea of being able to do what we've done here, but kind of start edging towards that kind of scale.
Yes, exactly. So also, like, the people are used to have these kind of events. In Germany, we have some kind of esports event in Berlin and Cologne, but it's still like people are talking about what these kind of people are doing there. And other countries are much, much farther with that. And so I think it's also easier to have like a sim racing expo, because they understand it's gaming. I said a word which probably the Twitch people or YouTube comments will hate. But sim racing is also gaming.
Well, at the essence of it, you're playing a video game,
Yeah.
so it is gaming.
Yeah.
But it's also sport. It's racing. There's
exactly.
multiple things, and that's what is interesting about sim racing is
Yeah.
that it can appeal to a wide audience of people. So
Yeah.
the car people that were just next door, they could like watching it or even racing it, and it's they don't have to bring their $250,000 car, crash it and bump it into someone. They can just have fun on the sim. And
Exactly, and that was what the people from the Retro Classic told us. They're like, yeah, I have a Jaguar E-Type, like one of the special ones, and it's like that money, and I can't drive it actually, because if I take it out, I lost 10% of the value of the car. But then you get a simulator, and there's more simulators popping up, which are more fitted to retro cars already. So they're like, okay, then I drive just my car.
Yeah.
So we've been around the exhibitor hall. It's obviously a lot bigger than the Nürburgring. I was at the Nürburgring with you last year. It was a great event. It was cool. It was cool that we saw the classic cars just going around the track, which was very cool. Obviously, this place is much, much bigger. Do you think this is better than the Nürburgring, or what do you think? It's a loaded question.
It's an easy question. Yes, it's better. It still we still have some potential which we need to use. But to be honest, when you go through that hall, you see directly ADAC, Fanatec, and Logitech, and that's something. It's like, it doesn't feel anymore like a niche exhibition. It's like the big players are here and they're like showing off to each other.
Yeah.
And you really felt it. Like, Logitech had a loud sound system.
Yes, they did.
Everything out. ADAC was like, yeah, look, we have the LP3 car. We pop it on. You know, and I was like, shit.
Yeah. Wait, are they going to do it in the middle of another one of our interviews?
Yes.
The first time they started that car up, it was right in the middle of one of our interviews, and we're like, okay, well, we got to kind of wait a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like the exhibitors have upped their game, and it's because, and they've been able to up their game because of the space that you provided them, right? They've had more space to play in. Which one of them do you think has done them best? Because there's some pretty incredible installations here.
You can't ask me that question. I need to talk after the exhibition to everyone again, and when they see that, they're like, oh, they paid him for sure.
Well,
no.
Interestingly, Aztec did say, or Aztec, I always do that. Aztec did say that they were here in kind of a little corner, the last one. And they were kind of hidden. In this one, they knew that they needed to go big. They needed to make their presence known. So thinking about that, you guys are making an event that is important enough to these manufacturers that they need to be here. They have to make it big and flashy, which is super exciting for us racers.
Yeah, and it shows also that the industry accelerated over the last parts of years. And also, like, we didn't have that space at the Nürburgring to do that, actually.
True.
Last year, we needed to cancel some exhibitors because we didn't have any space anymore.
Yep.
And then you had, like, this long floor. But do you want to put exhibitors there where they've compromised the booths because it's not too wide, they can't play around with that? So you need to give everybody like an equal chance to display them.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into that a little bit then, because at the Nürburgring you had those booths down the side were predominantly the esports teams, right?
Yeah.
So all the guys who were racing locally had those slots almost in the corridor, if you like, just outside of the expo hall. So obviously this year we've got the paddock behind the stage, which is great, right? It feels really kind of cozy. Do you think that's worked? Do you think that's better? Do you think that the esports hall as a concept is something you want to bring back again?
I think definitely. The issue is, you plan that for a year, and then you come in and you have like instantly new ideas and what you think that should we have done better or that could we change. But I'm too passionate about it, so I will never say it was perfect because I'm like you need to improve. I think when we would have a bigger hall without like this segment you go over to the hall would be much better. But that was just down because we were scared. We didn't know what we expect, how many people will come, and just getting an even bigger hall where everything can place into it is like another whole level of investment.
It's a nerve-wracking decision.
You have to balance the weight, what you want to do, what you can achieve, and also be conservative about the investment you do, because we do everything up front.
Yeah, 100%. And I think our drivers, it's the first time they've met each other. It's the first time we've met them. They have
the
had
first time we've
the
met
most.
face-to-face.
The first time we've met face to face. We've worked together for 2 years, Chris and Ohio. So this has been an incredible event. All the drivers have absolutely loved it. It's been a really great community feel. So on behalf of all the teams and the exhibitors, I think congratulations, you've smashed this. This has been so much fun. I think this is going to be the highlight in a lot of people's calendars. Sim racing community is a very small community, and they will all remember this. So. Thank you very much.
Thank you for expressing this. And I talked already to my boss, like, we need to do something for the communities that they can also represent them here.
That would be,
maybe have like a smaller system where the cost is not so high, so it's achievable for everybody.
Okay.
So just have like a point where the community can display themselves and people just get grouping up there and like having a chat. Because essentially the expo is for showing products for the exhibitors, but for us it's just meeting and have a good time together. So I really want to put this forward.
I mean, that sounds like an incredible idea.
That does sound like an incredible idea. And I know a place that has over 2,000 sim racing leagues that we can get in contact with. Grid Finder.
Yeah.
You got that?
Yeah, I understood that. I have already an account there, so no worries.
There you go. Well, we really appreciate your time today. And this was amazing. Thank you so much for letting us do a podcast on the stage. That was, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And it felt
maybe
surreal.
not too much once in a lifetime, because maybe can you do it next year again?
Yeah, and that would be fabulous. We would be more than willing to fill in any time. Actually, I was going to joke with you when you were in the lunch hall searching for him. I'm like, well, do you want a podcast to jump up there real quick and we'll get up there? But thank you for your time. I know you're busy. We'll stop taking up even more of your time, even though this conversation could probably last forever. If we could reserve some time for you to come back on the podcast, and then we can talk about Expo a little bit more.
We can do that for sure. I'm now like so chatty.
Okay.
And I have so much things to talk about, and got so many impressions from the other people what they think about, and where I can think about and put it forward for having new ideas. So I'm happy that I was able to attend and that you invited me.
I would love to hear after you get some time to process it.
Yes.
And then you can sit back and really have a good opinion about what's going on. And watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Attend it.
Because I need to rewatch all the streams we had, because I didn't saw anything regardless on the small monitor behind the stage to see what's going on. So.
Well, turn it on the big screen TV. Sit down with your favorite drink, whatever, and just relax and watch it.
I need to step down for the drinks after yesterday, but I get some water.
Well, there you go. Thanks again.
Yeah.
And that's going to do it for our coverage of the 2022 Sim Racing Expo, ADAC Sim Racing Expos. And for additional content in our mini-series, go ahead and subscribe to us at youtube.com/@SimSundays, and we'll see you later.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Oh, sorry.
Bye.